Some games launch with all the hype in the world, only to crash and burn. Bad marketing, weird release timing, or just being too ahead of their time. These games flopped hard, but something strange happened. Over time, they built a following. Fans wouldn't let them die, and today, these games are considered cult classics, loved by gamers who understand their true brilliance. Today, we're diving into the 20 games that failed at launch, but became legendary. A haunting post-apocalyptic shooter set in the dark, claustrophobic tunnels of Moscow's subway system, Metro 2033 wasn't your typical action-packed FPS. It was slow, methodical, and brutally immersive. The world felt alive, with NPCs whispering stories of survival, limited ammo forcing you to think carefully, and gas masks adding a terrifying sense of urgency. Critics praised the atmosphere, but it was overlooked due to its stiff competition. Its slower, more cerebral gameplay wasn't quite what players expected from an FPS at the time, leading to its initial commercial failure. Years later, it found its audience, and today, it's considered one of the most immersive survival shooters ever made. It paved the way for the franchise's legacy, which has only grown stronger with sequels and expansions. A game that blended action, puzzles, and stealth with a deep, emotional story. You play as Jade, a photojournalist uncovering a sinister conspiracy on her home planet. The world felt alive and characters had depth, and the gameplay mixed exploration with combat in a way that felt ahead of its time. Sadly, it flopped due to poor marketing and getting lost in the flood of early 2000 games. Many players never saw the brilliance behind the artful design, making it one of the most underrated gems of the generation. But over the years, its unique charm won over players, leading to a devoted fan base still begging for the long-awaited sequel. Its story and characters remain a shining example of narrative-driven adventure games. On the surface, it looked like just another military shooter, but those who played it quickly realized this wasn't your typical war game. Spec Ops The Line was a psychological nightmare, forcing players to confront the horrors of war in a way no game had before. The narrative twisted expectations, turning your hero into something much darker, exploring themes of moral ambiguity and the brutality of human conflict. Commercially, it failed, overshadowed by bigger FPS titles. But today, it's hailed as one of the greatest anti-war statements in gaming history. With a narrative that's both haunting and unforgettable, it's a game that defies the typical heroic shooter tropes and leaves a lasting emotional impact on its players. Released in a broken, buggy state, Bloodlines had everything stacked against it. The game's technical problems made it almost unplayable at launch, but beneath the technical issues was an RPG masterpiece. The dark, atmospheric world of empires, deep choice-based storytelling, and unforgettable characters made it a cult favorite. Fans even created their own patches to fix the game, refusing to let it be forgotten. The game's flawed but fascinating exploration of vampire society, complex moral choices, and immersive world-building eventually led to its appreciation, and today it stands as one of the greatest vampire RPGs ever made. It remains a benchmark for storytelling in the genre, and its impact is still felt among modern RPGs. A game so beautiful it felt like playing a watercolor painting. Okami told the story of the sun goddess Amaterasu in a journey filled with stunning visuals and Zelda-like gameplay. Critics adored it, praising its art direction and creativity, but the market didn't really. Releasing at the end of the PS2's lifecycle, it was quickly forgotten amidst the rise of the next-gen consoles. It didn't help that its unique gameplay and art style didn't connect with a broader audience at the time. But years later, re-releases on newer consoles introduced it to a fresh new audience, and now it's revered as an artistic masterpiece. Its impact is undeniable, inspiring numerous games that follow to embrace more stylized, hand-drawn aesthetics. Game that defined the survival horror genre, paving the way to BioShock even. System Shock 2 mixed deep RPG mechanics, terrifying atmosphere, and an AI villain showdown that still haunts gamers today. The game pushed boundaries in both its narrative and gameplay, offering a unique blend of sci-fi, horror, and RPG elements. Unfortunately, it was overshadowed by mainstream hits and didn't get the recognition it deserved. But over time, fans kept the game alive through mods and patches, securing its place as one of the greatest sci-fi horror games ever made. Its influence can still be seen in modern titles, with many citing it as one of the most influential games of all time. Charming, weird, and wildly creative platformer that deserved better, Psychonauts followed Raz, a young psychic exploring the bizarre minds of different characters. Every level was a unique, imaginative world, full of humor, bizarre creatures, and deep storytelling. Its quirky nature was a hard sell at first, and despite being a critical success, it didn't sell well, leaving developers Double Fine in financial trouble. Years later, though, word of mouth turned it into a must-play, and a long-awaited sequel finally arrived in 2021. Psychonauts has since become a cult classic, beloved for its unique voice, creative level design, and heartfelt message. The franchise's continued success proves that sometimes the most unexpected games become the most cherished. It wasn't an instant success. In fact, its brutal difficulty at start turned many players away, with critics questioning its harsh design. But those who stuck with it discovered something special. A game that respected the player, rewarded patience, and told a deep hidden story through its world and environmental storytelling. Dark Souls became an emblem for a new era of gaming, one that focused on rewarding perseverance over hand-holding. Over time, it became a worldwide phenomenon, influencing countless other games and spawning an entire genre known as Souls-like. Today, it's a cornerstone of modern gaming, and its impact is undeniable. One of the most ambitious games of its time, Shenmue created an open world with incredible detail. Players could interact with almost everything, live a life in a small Japanese town, and experience a cinematic story like never before. It was an early precursor to the open world genre, but it was far too ahead of its time. The massive budget and innovative design led to disappointing sales, and the game never reached a wide audience. Despite that, fans never gave up on it, leading to one of gaming's biggest comeback stories with Shenmue 3. Its passionate following proves that some games, no matter their commercial success, are ahead of their time. A game with incredible storytelling, motion capture performances, and an emotional journey inspired by the classic Chinese novel Journey to the West. The game featured fantastic voice acting, led by Andy Serkis, and a unique gameplay style blending exploration, combat, and platforming. But in a crowded market, it was overlooked. It didn't gain the attention it deserved at launch, but years later, players rediscovered its heartfelt story, stunning visuals, and dynamic characters, making one of gaming's hidden gems. It remains an underrated masterpiece that many fans still cherish today. A first-person parkour game with a unique art style, Mirror's Edge was unlike anything else. The fluid movement and the sense of speed were exhilarating, and its minimalistic design created a fresh perspective on first-person gameplay. But it didn't catch on at first. The game's distinctive look and unconventional gameplay style didn't resonate with the wider audience at launch. Over time, its originality gained recognition, leading to a cult following, and even a reboot years later. The game is now remembered for pushing the boundaries of movement mechanics and first-person games, becoming a fan favorite over the years. A visually stunning reimagining of the classic franchise, Prince of Persia from 2008 ditched the dark greediness of its predecessors for a colorful, painterly art style and a companion-driven narrative. This departure didn't resonate with fans of the Sands of Time trilogy, who preferred the more serious tone and challenging gameplay. The game's linearity and casual approach didn't sit well with everyone, but as time passed, players grew to appreciate its unique aesthetic, fluid movement system, and innovative story. Today, it's recognized as an underrated gem, admired for its beautiful world and captivating narrative. An open-world crime drama set in Hong Kong, Sleeping Dogs took elements from GTA and martial arts films to create a gripping undercover cop story. It was a love letter to a classic action movie. It was a love letter to classic action movies, blending brutal hand-to-hand combat with fast-paced car chases and a deep narrative about loyalty, betrayal, and honor. Unfortunately, it was overshadowed by bigger franchises like GTA 5 and failed to reach the attention it deserved. But over the years, its engaging combat, fantastic setting, and deep story helped it gain the recognition it always deserved. Today, it's regarded as one of the best open-world crime games ever made. Fast-paced, over-the-top shooter that encouraged creativity in combat with its skill shot system. It was a roller coaster of action, offering players the chance to create some truly spectacular kills in an intense, chaotic environment. Despite its fun gameplay and sharp humor, it was overshadowed by bigger FPS titles at the time. But years later, players rediscovered its chaotic charm, cementing it as a cult classic. Its fresh take on the FPS genre, along with its sheer fun factor, has earned it a place in the hearts of fans who love to blow off steam with over-the-top gameplay. A twisted reimagining of Alice in Wonderland or whatever, filled with dark visuals and psychological horror, its gothic aesthetic and eerie storytelling stood out, offering a much darker take on the beloved tale. The game's surreal world and deep psychological themes made it a standout, but mainstream success eluded it. It was too unsettling and niche for mainstream audiences. However, over time, its unique atmosphere earned a dedicated following, making it one of the most visually distinct and narratively rich action-adventure games ever. Fans still fondly remember that eerie take on Alice's journey. An espionage RPG that blended Mass Effect-style choices with spy thriller action. Alpha Protocol allowed players to shape the outcome of the story based on their decisions, offering multiple paths and an intriguing narrative full of potential intrigue and espionage. It had technical issues at launch, but its deep player-driven narrative and unique approach to RPG design made it a hidden gem. Fans still praise its dynamic story, flexible combat system, and varied character interactions, and they continue to hope for a sequel that could expand upon its potential. A stylish, open-world action game set in Nazi-occupied France, it featured a unique art style where the world would shift back from where the world would shift from black and white to color as players fought back against the oppression of the Nazis. Its resistance-driven gameplay, compelling story, and visual flair made it a standout, but it was largely overlooked due to the lack of attention it received, whatever that means. Over time, its atmosphere and setting earned it a passionate cult following, and today it's remembered fondly as one of the most unique open-world action games of its generation. A first-person RPG with brutal melee combat and immersive physics-driven gameplay. Dark Messiah allowed players to creatively use the environment to defeat the enemies, using everything from traps to explosive barrels. Despite its intense action and innovative mechanics, it struggled to find an audience at launch. However, its deep mechanics and intense combat have earned it recognition over time as a game that pushed the boundaries of action RPGs, with fans still fondly remembering its brutal, physics-based gameplay. A schoolyard take on the GTA formula. Bully let players experience mischief, rivalries, and friendships within the confines of a fictional school. The game's quirky humor and unique setting made it a standout, but its controversial subject matter led to slower sales at first. Despite the criticism, it has since become one of the Rockstar's most beloved titles. The game's charm, memorable characters, and hilarious take on school life have earned it a permanent spot in the hearts of fans. making it one of the studio's most underrated classics. A mysterious, lesser-known game with a devoted following, Phantom Line was a surreal experience, blending cryptic storytelling with a strange gameplay mechanic that kept players guessing. It never gained widespread attention, but has since earned a niche following of players who appreciate its unique take on storytelling and gameplay. Its mysterious aura and obscure design make it a true hidden gem, with fans continuing to unravel its secrets even years after its release. There you have it, 20 games that stumble at launch but refuse to be forgotten. Some were ahead of their time, some were victims of bad luck, but all of them found a second life thanks to passionate players like you. Which of these games you love the most? Let me know in the comments below and I will ignore you entirely. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more awesome gaming content. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.